Okay, tomorrow, listen. Oh, I don't want nobody that far. Alice, move over. And the most you can go is up to there, to where Destiny is. Or Violet. Just get a laptop and you can continue your test. Okay, so tomorrow I probably won't be here. I'm telling you right now. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna be working on something called a puzzle. So I'm gonna explain it here so you can know how it works, and then tomorrow you know what to do. So if you go to second period, listen, listen. This guy will not be on the top. He'll be right here on top of the vampire. Today we're gonna be working on the vampire. We're gonna start the lesson called ratios. So I'm introducing today ratios. But tomorrow, while I'm at the meeting, you'll be working with the ed puzzle. The computers will be ready with headphones. It does require you to play and listen to the video carefully because basically the lady that's explaining the concept of ratios is giving you the answers. If you listen carefully, you should score 100. Okay? But let me show you how it looks so like that you can see. You will not be allowed to forward it. Like I can forward it because I'm the teacher, but you cannot forward. Like you can't say, "Let me forward. I'm kind of bored." No, you have to watch the whole video. That's the purpose of the video. Okay. So look, I'm gonna look for it. So like that, I can. It's gonna be. And what I do is I look at everything before I decide. Okay, do I like it or not? And this one was pretty good. That's a nice little introduction. I'm still gonna teach it right now my way, but it's another way to kind of look at it. Let me find it. This. So tomorrow you're gonna get this one. So I'm gonna like show you how it works. So when you open the assignment, it's gonna take you to this, and you just start playing it. It tells you there you might want to take notes. No, you don't have to worry about that because I'm gonna give you the notes myself. So you can just. Mhm. So some of you are not even listening. This is an introduction. I'm gonna teach this right now. So a ratio, if you ever hear me say ratios, it is comparing to quantities. Like if I compare the boys in this class to the girls, I'll count all the boys and then I'll count all the girls and I can compare the quantities. Okay, so let's say there's 12 girls, I can say there's 12 girls for every 8 boys. So for every 12 girls that I count, there's 8 boys. If I count another 12, how many boys will probably be there? 8, and so on. So what I just compared right now, boys to girls, was a part to part. That's what she's saying here, part to part. But it's not always part to part. So here comes the next one. So part to whole would work this way. So if I say, what's the ratio of boys to the students? So I would count the boys and I would count the whole, the total. That would be a part to what? Whole. And right now when I do it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we can do a part to whole, or whole to part. My point is, as this lady, then what she's gonna do, she's going to start giving you examples. Okay? So the order matters in ratios. Whomever they mention first goes first. The word to tells you who they mention first. They mention first girls, so she'll go first. The girls will go first, and then the boys. This would be a part to whole or part to part. Huh? Part to whole? No, it's a part to part because I'm comparing the girls to the boys. I'm comparing a part of the classroom to the other part. When it's a part to whole, I would say something like this: girls to classroom, girls to total students. Then it'll be a part to what? Whole. Okay, so this is a part to part. Any questions? Now they want us to write in three ways. I want to. So the first one is using the word to. The next one is as fraction, 12 to 11. So when it's improper, we don't like, because the ratios are not fractions, guys. Especially if it's a part to part, that's not a fraction. It's a ratio. We're comparing two quantities to each other. So we're not gonna bottom out or none of that. We just leave it like that. We're gonna simplify it. Now in this video tomorrow, when you're doing it on your own, you will not have to simplify. You'll just listen to whatever she's telling you. She's giving you the answers basically. The kids that fail these activities because you're not listening. You start messing around instead of listening and watching the video carefully. You're just gonna start messing around, and that's how you mess up. Because then after a while, it's gonna ask you questions. For example, there's a question. So they want you to write this. What is the ratio of nickels to pennies? Now, who did they mention first in the question? In the question, sir. Nickels. So guess who's gonna have to go first? Nickels. Here's what kids mess up always in ratios. Because pennies came out first in the story, they think, pennies goes first. No, they don't. The question controls the whole thing. That's why my strategy is question, facts, strategy. So that I can focus on the most important thing is the question. So the question says, nickels to what? Pennies. Who did they mention first in that question? Nickels. He has to go first. So how many nickels? Seven. Seven. And how many pennies? So the ratio will be 7 to 2. Now, what choice shows that 7 to 2? A, B, or C? And that's what you're going to do tomorrow. Okay? Any questions? Watch the whole video and it should be an easy 100. It'll take you the whole period. There's no work required. You just kind of like read and match. Because they're not making you simplify, they're not making you do what I'm going to make you do is much harder than what this is. Any questions with tomorrow? So tomorrow again, while I'm not here, you're going to have this assignment dragged on the bottom. You'll probably have by tomorrow an emoji. When you open it, it's going to tell you, hey, open it. It's going to probably ask you to log in under your account of PSD. You just say yes, allow, and vámonos. Okay? And then you play it. Now you can't forward it. I was able to forward it because I was a teacher, but you're not going to be allowed to forward because that's the point. I want you to really listen to every single step. Any questions with the Ed puzzle for tomorrow while I'm at the meeting? Okay. Today we're going to start working with ratios. Okay? But my way. That video is just a nice little introduction how things work and how easy it is, that the order matters, the colon, the to, the fraction form, all that. But this is the good stuff. So on your homework journal, sir, that book you on the homework journal, we're going to start today's homework. You will have 5 questions for homework today. So let me open it up. It's going to be locked. Hold on, let me unlock it for you. It will be unlocked for homework. And let me start your homework. Okay. Number one. Question number one. There are 12 boys and 8 girls in Mr. Young's first period math class, which correctly shows the ratio of boys to girls in Mr. Young's class. Okay, so they want to know which ratio correctly shows the boys to what? Girls. So let me go to my journal. Second period. Let me close this guy out. Okay. I pressed the wrong one. There we go. No. Okay. On your journal, whatever page you're at, homework. You could still stay if you want. Work on your homework if you want to read the vampire. Go ahead and put here, today's date is the 28th. And we're doing an intro to ratios, introduction, intro to ratios. The emoji is the vampire. Questions? And your homework will be page 1 is what we're doing in class 1 through 5. And page 2 is your homework 1 through 5. This will be your homework. Page 2, by the way. You'll see right now, that's why I'm recording this. So, question number 1 from page 1. Which correctly shows the ratio of boys to girls? So I'm going to put ratio boys to what? Girls. Would this be a part to part or part to whole? Part to part, because I'm just comparing a part to the other part. Okay? Now, boys to girls. Who did they mention first? In the question. Now look, sometimes they like to put the girls first in the story on purpose because kids will put the girls first, but you go with the question. The question controls the decisions. So who did they mention first, you said? So you better put boys first on your facts. Facts, we have 12 boys. And how many girls? 8 girls. And this is a part to part. Part to part. Try to recognize what type of ratio it is. Now, when you write ratios, we're going to start with the first one. It's very easy. It's with the word 2. 12 to 8. Why did I put the 12 first? Because he's first. 2, 8. The other way to write this ratio is 12 colon 8. But we don't read it that way. We're still going to read it this way. 12 to 8. It's still read that way. So I usually like to write the word with the word 2 in the colon first. But then the main one that we're going to use is as a fraction. 12 to 8. Now kids here will say, oh, it's improper, let's divide. No, we're not going to divide because we're working with ratios. This is not a fraction, guys. How can a fraction? Fractions are part to wholes. This is a part to what? Part. It's a ratio. Now, do you see this answer in the choices? No. You know what kids tell me sometimes that the answer is? Which one do you think kids want to choose as an answer? A. But the problem with A is that it's not in the right order, and ratios, order is important. They mentioned that the ratio was boys to girls, so boys better be first. And letter A has who first? Girls. That's why it's wrong. So what should I do to find the possible answer then? Simplify. Very good, sir. So I'm going to divide by 2. 4 would be the best one. So whomever said 4, good job. But I'm going to go with 2 because some kids will not find 4. Last time I told you that if they're even numbers, go with 2 always. If they're even numbers, go with 2. Now, if you can find the GCF, the greatest common factor, which somebody said 4, that's real good. 4 would be the best one. But let's go with 2 to see what happens. 12 divided by 2, 6. 8 divided by 2, 4. The ratio now is for every 6 boys, there's 4 girls. These two ratios are equivalent. That's why they're called proportional. Now, is that answer there? No. Now, last year I had a kid that said, well, that's pretty close, sir. Should we get that one? Do you see a 4 there? It's not the answer. So what can I do again? Simplify again. Divided by what again? 2. What's 6 divided by 2? 3. 4 divided by 2? 2. 3 to 2. Is that answer there? What's the answer? C. Letter C would be the answer. 3 to 2 would be the final answer. Now, to check if you're right, we're going to create a proportion. A proportion is 2 ratios that are equal. So you see the first original ratio, 12 to 8? I'm going to write them down again. Who was the 12 in this story? Put a B. Who was the 8 in this story? Put a G. A proportion is 2 ratios that are equal. So let me put the equal sign because Mr. Rivera just told you that the proportion means 2 ratios that are equal. 2 ratios that are equal. We just said that the ratio that we're choosing is 3 to 2, right? So guess who goes on the top? 3. And on the bottom? 2. Now, one way you can figure out if you chose a good answer is look at this. Your top number is larger than your what? Bottom. Your answer should be the same thing. Your top number better be what? Larger than the bottom. If you chose something that the top number was smaller, you would be wrong because your original ratio of 12 to 8 is big to small. So they're going to be big to what? Small. That's one way you can catch it if you made a double mistake with it. Now, to check if they're proportional. Again, let me tell you what proportion is one more time because you're going to hear me say that word forever, for the rest of the year. Proportion is when 2 ratios are what? Equal. Let me tell you again. Proportions are when 2 ratios are equivalent. Now, to check if something is proportional, you do something you did in elementary. We do cross products. Cross multiply. 8 from the bottom to the top, by the way. 8 times 3. What's 8 times 3? Let me get rid of this. 8 times 3? 24. Put 24 on the top. And what's 2 times 12? 24. Were they equal, the products? That means that this is proportional. That means that you did not make a mistake. You have the right answer. Now I feel good. This is a way to check if you do have a right answer. You set up a proportion. 2 ratios are equal. You cross multiply. And if they're equal, you have the right answer. Question with number 1. Pretty easy, no? Guess what? The way I did number 1, you're going to go home and do number 1 in the next page. This one says, Marcia has stuffed animal collection. She has 10 dogs and 15 teddy bears. What is the ratio of dogs to bears? Same thing. But instead of boys to girls, yours is what? Dogs to what? Bears. Question with number 1. Now let me do number 2. There are 6 long jump ropes and 78 short jump ropes in the equipment closet. Which ratio best compares the number of short jump ropes to the number of long jump ropes? Okay, vamos a ver si aprendieron algo. What are they asking me here?
Which number compares with
What's the most important word that we just learned this today already? Well, that's going to be very important. Good job. Two is so important for us. But another important word, ratio. Once you see ratio, you better put here quickly ratio. And what's the ratio that they want? What do they want? Who's going to go first? Who goes first? Who goes first? No? I mean, who said 78? You were right. I'm sorry. But let's focus on the question. We're still on the facts. Focus on the question. In the question, who did they mention first? Short. You see the word short? John Rose. And you see the word two? The word two tells you who came first. Who came first? Short. John Rose. So I better put there ratio of short to what? Short to long. Short to long. Questions with that? If you don't focus on the question, guess what you're going to put first? Guess what number you're going to put first? 6. And you know why kids want to put 6 first? Because it comes first in the story. But my strategy or the concept of ratio is whomever comes first goes first in the question. The question controls that's why it's called a question in the problem. So the question wants to know short to long, so we have to go in that order. The order matters in ratios. So Brayson, in the facts, who would you put first? The 6 or the 78? Good. You know why 78? Because they mentioned short first in the question. So let's put 78 what? What's a 78 in the story? Short. Who comes next? 6 what? Long. Do you understand how important the question is? He'll tell you who comes first and who comes second. Because if you don't do this and you don't focus on the question, I know that you're going to put 6 first and you're going to mess up the story. You're going to get it wrong. Right now you'll see what I mean. So let's write it first with the word two. Who goes first? What number goes first? 78 to what? 6. Who goes next? 78 colon what? 6. I like to write these quickly first because those are the ones that are pretty easy. But now let's write it as a fraction form. Who's going to go on top? 78. And on the bottom? 6. And by the way, this is a part to part again. Part to the other part. Let's label. Who's the 78 in this story? Who's the 78 in the story? Ahí está todo, guys. Short. Who's the 6? Long. Okay. Do we have that answer there? No. So guess what we need to do again? Simplify. Divided by, both of them are even, so who should we use always? 2. When they're even, just use 2. Now 78 divided by 2, that's a tough one to do in my head, so I'm going to go to the side. 78 divided by 2. 2 times what gives me close to 7? 2 times what gives me close to 7? 3. Bring down the 8. Now we have 18. 2 times what gives me 18? 9. Good job. So the top one just became 39. Now 6 divided by 2, that's easy to do in the head. 6 divided by 2? 3. So the answer is 39 to what? 3. And what choice has 39 to 3? None. So guess what that tells me? That I'm still not done. So let me write 39 to 3, and guess what? I'm going to have to simplify again. Divided by what now? 3, 3. 3 divided by 3, 1. 39 divided by 3, I go to the side again, but I'm going to do it mentally because I can do it that one. 13 to 1. Now, is that answer there? Yes. What's the answer? F. Now, look what Martin almost did. Martin almost chose what choice? J. You know why I want to choose J? Because it looks like my numbers, right? 39, 3. But what's the problem with J, guys? It's which? The order matters. The order matters. Okay? And if I would have checked right now, if I do a proportion with that one, he would be wrong. The order matters. Do you understand? I think in the first class they chose J and I messed up. I let them choose it and I forgot. You're here in the first class. Did we choose J? That was wrong. Because it was short to long, and that one has long to short. But now it's in the village. Any questions? How can I check if I'm right? How can I check if I'm right? Set up a proportion. Who's on the top? Who's on the top? ¿A quién voy a poner arriba? ¿A quién voy a poner arriba? Huh? No, the original. Who's the original? 78 to what? 6. Who was the 78? Short. Who was the 6? Long. Now, what was your answer? 13 to 1, right? So who do I put on the top? 13 on the bottom? 1. Now, how do I check if it's true? I'm going to do cross products. 6 times 13. I go to the side, and guess what it gives me? 78. 1 times 78. 78. So are they proportional? Yes, they're equal. That means that I'm correct. I'm fine with the answer of F. Question number 2. I'm going to bubble like this. And the way I did number 2, you're going to go home and do number 2, which is this one. On McDonald's farm, there were 14 ducks and 42 chickens. Which ratio accurately compares the number of chickens to the number of what? Ducks. Who's going to go first? Chickens. And then? Ducks. Now, again, kids mess up because they see the ducks first and they want to put ducks first, but the question decides who goes first and who goes second. Any question with number 2? Number 3 now. Yes, but when do you need it? Like when would you need it? Not right now. Go check in the back and see if you can find one. Number 3, ready? Pedro answered 10 math problems in 4 minutes. Which ratio accurately compares the math problems to minutes? Remember that when you go to a new page, guys, you need to title it again, retitle the whole thing. So Mr. Rivera knows that you're still working on the vampire. No, you don't have to go to a new page. I'm going to a new page because I'm using a real small journal. You guys should have still space. I'm saying that if you do go to a new page, you need to retitle for me, please. The vampire is intro to ratios. Remember, vampire is really not for math. It's just for you to know what you're doing at home. The emoji. Number 3. Who can give me the question for number 3? Morning. What's the question for number 3, guys? Ratio of what? Very good. Problems 2 minutes. Problems 2 minutes. Question so far? This word is the most important one right now. Ratio. Problems, 2 minutes. This word is very important too because it'll tell you who came first and who came second. So who came first? Problems. So who should I put first in my facts? 10 problems. And who's second? 4 what? You found one? Minutes. Questions? Now let's start with the word 2. 10 to what? 4. And what's the other way to write a ratio? With what? With the little dots, they're called colons. 10 to 4, the colon. You use that for time, right? For the time. And then the best one that I want you to always do is in fraction form. 10 to what? To 4. Now, do we have that answer in the choices? What answer will probably make kids get tricked in A? But because they don't want to listen to what Mr. Rivera said, that the order matters in the question. Problems went first, so you better put problems first. Okay? So if the answer is not there, what can I do? Simplify. Divided by, what should we divide by? 2. What's 10 divided by 2? 5. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. Is that answer there, 5 to 2? Which is letter? C. Now I know that the answer is C, 5 to 2. It's right there. I click on it, and I'm done with that one. But Kobe Bryant is going to go and check. How do we check? We check if it's proportional. What was proportional? What does the word proportion mean? Two ratios that are equal. Guys, if I ever ask you, what is proportion? You cannot tell me, oh, cross multiply. No, that's how you check if it's proportional. But what is proportion? Is two ratios that are equal. Okay. So let's check if it's true. 10 to what? 4. And proportion means that they're what? Equal. So put the equal sign. And what was your answer? 5 to what? 2. And how do I check if something is proportional? You cross multiply. What's 4 times 5? And I like to go from the bottom to the top. What's 4 times 5? 20. What's 2 times 10? 20. Are they proportional? You have the right answer. Question with number 3. No? The way I did number 3, you're going to go home to the second page and do number 3. Yours is about this. In 15 minutes, Owens assembled 5 Valentines. Which ratio accurately compares Valentines to minutes? So mine was problems to minutes. Yours is going to be Valentines to what? Minutes. Who's going to go first? The minutes or the Valentines? Valentines. You get the point? Number 4 now. Now things are going to get a little bit harder every time that we go along. I'm just giving you 5 problems anyway today, so do not panic. Number 4. In Mr. Quad's physical education class, listen, 48 of the 50 students dressed out. Which fraction best represents the ratio of students who did not dress out to the total number of students? Okay, tell me what they want. What do they want? Students who did not dress out. Very good, but what word did you forget that's so important? Ratio. Ratio of the ones that did not dress to what? Miren la pregunta. Ratio of the ones that did not dress to what? No, read. You can't just make up stuff, guys. Let's read. To total. Very good. This is an example of a part to whole. Okay? So who should we mention first in our facts? The not dress or the total? Which one should we mention first? The not dress or the total? The not dress. So let me read the story again. In the class, 48 are the 50 students dressed out. Do we know how many did not dress out? How many? How did you figure it out? They never mentioned two. Where did you get two? Very good, guys. This one is a tricky one because look, the 48, copy this, the 48 are the ones that dressed out. The 50 is the what? Total, because of the word out of. Out of means that's a total. So do they really give me the ones that did not dress out? No, but some of you will use 48 because that's what you see there because you don't want to label, you don't want to get the facts. The 48 are the ones that dressed out because it says 48 of the 50 students dressed out. You have to be careful, please, with those things. So how do I get the ones that did not dress out? Well, if there's 50 kids and 48 of them dressed out, I subtract them to see how many did not dress out, so it's 2. So very good, brace it. These 2 did not dress out. Do you know how I got the 2 now? Now I'm ready to write my ratio. Who would go first from those 3 numbers? Who goes first from those 3 numbers? 2. 2 what? 2 to 48 or 2 to 50? To 50. Do you know why it's 2 to 50? Because look, not dress, son los dos. 2, total. Total is the what? 50. That's why I make you write the facts with labels. We can't just put numbers. We have to say, ¿quién son los 48 dressed out? Who are the 50? The total. Who's the 2? The not dressed out. I have to put some labels, guys. What's the other way to write this? 2 what? Colon. That's what it's called. 50. And what's the best way to write ratios? What's the best way to write ratios that I prefer? Fraction form. So who goes on top? No, 2. Why 50? Who did they mention first in the question? Not dressed, so he better go on top. Who goes on the bottom? 50. Could 50 go on top? Yes. If they would have asked me ratio of the total to not dress out, then 50 goes on top. The question decides who goes on top and who goes on the bottom. The question decides who goes first and who goes what? Second. Now, is this answer there? No. I need to simplify. Divided by what? 2, 2. If I cut 2 in half, how much do I get? Because when you divide by 2, you're cutting them in half, right? So if I 1, if I cut 50 in half, how much do I get? Is that answer there now? What's the answer? G. Box your answer and box your choice. Now, how do I check if I'm right? Which is called a proportion. Set up a proportion. Here we go. 2 to 50. And what was a proportion? What's a proportion in math? 2 ratios that are what? Equal. 1 to 25. This is called a proportion, guys. 2 ratios that are equal, that is a proportion. To check if something is proportional, we do cross products. What's 50 times 1? 50. What's 25 times 2? 50. Were they equal? That means that they're proportional. That means you have the right answer. So now I can say, good job for me, I have the right answer. Question with number 4. The way I did number 4, you're gonna go home and do your number 4, which is the same thing like mine, but yours is about 100 students in the choir. 64 of them sang at the opening of the new mall, which best represents the ratio of students who did not sing at the mall to the total number of students.
At this moment,
Okay?
please post your attendance. Thank you.
The last one.
Teachers, at this moment, please post your attendance. Thank you.
The last one. Number 5. Which of the following shows the possible number of boys and girls in the dance class? Okay, so this time they're not asking you for the ratio, they're asking you for a possible number for boys and girls. This time they're asking you, hey, what's possible number for boys and girls? So they want you to kind of like predict what's possible that's there in the dance team, right? Let me get some facts. In the dance class, the ratio of boys to girls is 2 to 5. Oh, so they gave me the facts. They already gave me the ratio. The first problems that went over with you, they were asking for the ratio. This time they already gave it to me. What's the ratio that they gave me? What's the ratio that they gave me? 2 to 5. Ya me lo dieron. But I need to label. Who's the 2 in this story? Who's the 2 in this story? Boys. And who's the 5? Girls. Guys, in case you wondered, how did you know who's who? Because of the word 2. You see the word 2? Who was first? Boys. So you see the word 2? That 2 better be with the boys. Who was second after the word 2? Girls. So you look at the word 2 over here, 5. Questions with that part? Now I'm going to go and say, okay, 2 to 5. Who's the 2 in this story again? Who's the 2? Boys. You better label. 5. Girls. Now I'm going to get choice A. Who would go on top in choice A? Who goes on top in choice A? 10. You know why or no? Because those are the boys. Who's in the bottom? 25. Now let's test it to see if this is the answer. What's 5 times 10? What's 5 times 10? 50. And what's 25 times 2? 50. Were they proportional? So is letter A a possible answer? So letter A probably is the answer. But a good boy and girl would go and check letter B. Who goes on top in letter B? 6. Bottom. 12. What's 5 times 6? 30. What's 12 times 5? 12 times 2, my bad. 24. Are they proportional? No, that's why letter B is not the answer. And that's how you can check the rest. But here's another strategy besides that. If I'm running out of time, let me show you the other strategy. We can do what's called a ratio table. A ratio table, we put first, whomever they mention first is boys, so put a B. Copy this, guys, and put a G. Now, how many were boys? 2. How many were girls? 5. So we're going to now count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I like to do at least 7. Now let me do the other side. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. This is called a ratio table. Now, let's start with choice A, 10 boys. In our table, do we have 10 boys in our table? Do we have 10 boys in our table? Yes or no? Look at the table, guys. Here's the table. Look at the boys. Do we have 10 boys in that table? Ok, vamos a ver. ¿Qué es este? ¿Qué número es este de aquí donde está apuntando? 2. ¿Y este? ¿Y este? ¿Y este? ¿Y este? Do we have 10 boys in the table? So far letter A looks good. Now, who's his partner for him? For 10 boys is what? Does that match choice A? So that's why choice A is the answer also using the table. Let's do another one. Do we have 6 boys in the table? Good. Who's the matching of the table? 15. Is this what they said here? That's why letter B is done. Do we have 8 boys in the table? And who's the partner of 8 boys? Is that what they said here? No. Now 20. Do we have 20 boys in the table? No, but if we would have continued the table, which we are because they went to 20, so let's go continue so we can see what happens with that one. We stopped at 14, right? So who's next after 14? 16, 18, 20. Now we have the 20 boys that they want. Now we stopped at 35. So who would be next after 35? 40, 45, 50. Now we're checking 20. Who's the matching for 20? 40. Is that what they have as a matching one? No. So what's the only one that matches? 10 to what? 25 in our table. So there's 2 ways to do this. I can make a table like I just did, or I can just try all the choices and do cross multiply, which is proportion, and the one that's proportion, that's the answer. The most important thing about ratios, guys, is that you have to read carefully and check who did they mention first, who did they mention second. Question number 5 is for homework, the second page. So you will have only 5 questions for homework. You will not click submit. You will put finish later. I will go over this on Wednesday, not tomorrow, because tomorrow you're going to work on what? Your ed puzzle. But here's question 5. So you really have 2 days for this assignment. These 5 questions, you have really 2 days. Question 5 says, if the ratio of firefighters to fire trucks is 9 to 1, which of these does not show a possible number of firefighters to fire trucks in Halton County? Listen to what it says now. It's still like mine, but they want to know which one would not be true. So I have to check all of them, right? Do proportions if I want to check cross products. And then the one that's true, we don't want that answer this time. So the difference between mine and yours is still the same thing. You can do a table too if you want, but they want to know which one is not true. Like here in ours, which one was not true? Because all of the choices were not true, except letter A was true, letter B was not true because it was not true. Look, 30 to 24. Letter C was not true because if I would have done cross products with us, it would not have worked. And letter D is not true. So the only one that was true is A. Now yours, 4 of them will be true, and 1 of them will not be true. Do you understand? Okay? And please be careful with the labels. Read. And I don't know if you notice, I always label boys to girls. You better label firefighters to trucks. Any questions? Let me show you why letter C is not the answer also, but I'm going to do it with a pen now because I don't have space in this. So if you want to copy this, go ahead and copy because you still have space before we leave. Let's do letter C. I'm going to do it with a pen now. Letter C. Who's the first one that goes on top? Who's the first one that goes on top?
8.
Doing number 5. Who did I mention first?
8.
2. Thank you, Stephanie. 2 what? 5. And who's the 2 in this story? Boys. So put a B, guys. Who's the 5? Girls. So put a G. Now we're checking letter C. So tell me what letter C has on top.
8
boys to what? 15 girls. This is a proportion. Now let's see if it's proportional. 15 times 2 would be 30. 5 times 8 would be 40. Are they proportional? No, they're not equal. They're not proportional. So that's why letter C is not the answer. Now let me check letter D. Who was on top again? From the story, who was on top? 2 to what? 5. Who's the 2 in the story? Boys. Who's the 5? Girls. Choice D. Who's the boys in choice D? Who's the boys in choice D?
D?
Yeah.
20.
20. And who's the girls? 30. How do I check if it's true? Cross multiply. 30 times 2, 60. 5 times 20, 100. They're not proportional. That's why D is not the answer. So look, B did not work, C did not work, D did not work. They were not all false, not true, not true, not true. The only one that was true is letter what? A. We could have also checked the table. The only one that was true was A right there. B was going to be 6 to 12 was B, and 6 to 15 makes it wrong. Makes this guy wrong. Okay? And then this one was 8 to 15. In my table, A would have who? 20, that's why he's wrong because of this guy. And letter D had 20 to 30, and we have 20 to what? 40, that's why D is wrong. So I don't care if you use the table or you set up like a proportion and cross multiply, that's going to be your choice. Any questions? When you have to predict what's possible. Okay, so your homework is 1 through 5 from the second page. You have actually 2 days to today and tomorrow to complete those 5 questions on your homework journal on the way to attachment. I will put this video as soon as you leave. I'm gonna load it. Let me stop it now.